All right, so let's get started. I am here to introduce the Return to Work initiative and the funding opportunity that's going to be available for an late August deadline. I'll begin with giving you a little bit of an overview of Talent Ready, as well as getting into some structural changes that have happened recently relating to the RFP so that you're well prepared for a proposal, some dates and deadlines, how the review works, and then some resources. And I will preface that both the recording as well as these resources will be sent out uh, after the presentation is concluded. So if you haven't gotten fully familiar with Talent Ready before, we were established through the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity in 2015. In 2022, we were moved over to the Utah System of Higher Education, or the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education. Our vision is to uh, have a state where every learner is workforce ready and every employer has access to skilled talent. Um, Really, our mission is to convene education, government, and industry, as you can see from the graphic here. We hope to accomplish that by coordinating cross-sector partnerships, leveraging data to identify state priorities, and investing in high-impact workforce initiatives. As far as the grant we're here to talk about today, the three objectives that you'll find in the RFP are to provide individuals opportunities to reenter the workforce. That's really the heart of the Return to Work initiative. We want to offer training and hands-on experience for individuals who are going to be doing so that they're well prepared for targeted occupations as established through the proposals that are identified. And then we also, as I mentioned before, want to facilitate those interactions between industry, government, and education. In order to be eligible, it needs to be a for-profit or nonprofit business entity. There is some additional clarification about professional associations within the RFP. If you have any questions relating to your eligibility, please reach out to us at truegrants@uchi.edu, and we can help clarify those. So as far as the submission process, each of you will be added to our Salesforce platform as an account user. Some of you may already be added via the system. I'll include a link that you can check that, and you can select, for instance, forgot password and gain access to the site, see all future funding opportunities. So it could be return to work as well as different initiatives. You'll be able to see them all consolidated in one place. We're really excited at um, this move that we've made into a new platform for ease of use. So each organization that applies will be expected to upload a proposal narrative that will come in a PDF format. You will also want to disclose, if necessary, any other state funds that have been used to support the program that is um, being included in your return to work proposal. So within the proposal narrative, which will be kind of encapsulating the program that you're hoping to propose, you'll be evaluated on five different measures. So that will be the introduction and needs assessment, program management, implementation, performance and outcomes, and budget. There's greater detail, as I mentioned, within the RFP, and I'll talk a little bit about these in a second, but it's really important to note how these flow together between establishing the need for the program that you hope to do, and then leading everything into how would you measure your success and be able to report on those for the purposes of reimbursement. Proposal formatting, these are very standard among our different grants. This is a 10-page maximum proposal. You'll have standard widths and measurements with 1-inch margins. You want page numbers included within that. We have standard fonts that are going to be included, so please make sure to do that as well as the points. 12-point font to make sure that we have a standardized review process. And then please, if possible, don't include any embedded links. We'd really like to make sure that the information that reviewers have to go through and be thoughtful about is included just within those 10 pages. So we will have resources that we can provide to you as far as how to submit a proposal via Salesforce, getting into the system, navigating the site, as well as submitting things like budget. So you can see right here, whereas Talent Ready used to use a budget worksheet for our proposals. We will now be intaking the data into a budget form. So you can see right here on the right-hand side, this is for a different grant for deep tech. But essentially, you will have an initial period and an ongoing period. So for the purposes of return to work, if you chose to do a 2-year award, you would have the ongoing period be the second year, and you can provide information within your budget narrative as well about kind of those things, as well as the reason if you'd like to just include year one and year two values, additional context. So anticipate receiving a copy of the file that you can access in order to view a video of how to fill this out. And then at the bottom, you can see as well, similarly, you will put in quantity for your targeted outcomes. And this is going to be how essentially your program is going to be indexed on reimbursement. So we will be reimbursing on the basis of a per student participation. So make sure that you index accurately to how many students you expect to enroll. I'll talk a little bit about the budget in a moment. So make sure to fill out each form as far as the cells, align your expenses with the specific budget categories in our form, and make sure that all costs associated with your proposal are direct costs that are directly contributing to administering the program. So as I mentioned, this will be now a reimbursement-based model. We will issue 20% of the total value that is awarded at the execution of the agreement. So as soon as the MOU is fully signed and executed, we will initiate a payment by which we will send that out to you. We will set you up as a vendor. So there are some specific forms we'll request, but keep you informed once awards have been made about what's needed. Quarterly reimbursement requests will initiate that review for payment based on a cost per participant. So you'll just want to include information that kind of substantiates the number of students that have begun and, in seats, for instance, for participating in the training program, whatever that is in your case. So we can answer more questions later about how that might look, but just feel free to schedule a meeting with me if that's necessary. So I mentioned the different categories that are up for evaluation before. Each one has a point value. So as you can see here, they're weighted differently and points are associated with individual questions that are pushed to our review committee members. I will also add that our review committee is nearly always comprised of individuals in industry, often members of our board as well, who often come from industry. So that really speak to the audience across the different categories with that in mind, what they would understand to be the use case for your industry need, as we mentioned before, and then evaluating your outcomes as well. So the questions that are posed in the RFP are directly correlated with what they will be reviewing on. So make sure that you kind of hit on those points. Each reviewer will be assigned a section. So each reviewer, for instance, reviewer one will get implementation. We will only ask them specifically to review that section. They often read more sections or the whole proposal, but just make sure that as each question is asked within the section of the RFP, you address those points within the section. Quarterly reporting, once a award has been issued, those would be in January, April, July, and October. So on a 4-year or on a 1-year basis, 4 quarters, you will turn in 4 reports. The final report will provide kind of a summative evaluation of your program. I mentioned before, per student basis will be indexed based on what you input into that budget worksheet for how many students are going to be enrolling. So make sure to consider that and kind of how things are going to be cascading between how many students enroll and the rationale for how many complete and are placed into relevant employment. Because, ideally, we'll really want to see success among a majority of the students that are participating. So be mindful of that when you submit. The final report, as I mentioned before, kind of provides that summative reconciliation of what's happened. Mentioned before that you've demonstrated the outcomes that you claim to, participant training, placements, and hiring rates. Ideally, capturing best practices as well. Our goal is to make sure that each program that is funded through True is successful. So, documenting any successes, things that included partnerships outside of your organization that worked well, lessons learned, and innovations that we can share for future opportunities for programs, things like that. And then lastly, we would like program transparency. We would like a financial update as far as just things that were expended throughout the process of the award. It's important to note that because this is a reimbursement-based model, we have terms for the beginning and the end of the program, but because you're being reimbursed on a per student basis, you want to consider that, when you submit your final report, it could be that you've really hit all your measures quite early. You would submit your final reimbursement request, and then at that same time, submit your final report. So if you were 1 quarter early, you would submit your final reimbursement request with your final report. We do have specific insurance requirements right now, and I can help answer some questions offline about these specifically. You'll find them in the RFP. But the required coverage includes workers' comp, a certain threshold of general liability, auto liability if vehicles are used for the administration of your program. And we'll want to make sure that we receive documentation of these insurance areas if there is a necessary case for your program, covering the various employees that are participating in administering the program. And it would need to be dated before the agreement starts. It's also important to note that the coverage must last the entire term of the program as proposed. So we would look for that as well. Looking forward, we're going to be receiving applications through August 28th. Soon thereafter, we'll convene the review committee who will look at those individual questions that I mentioned before, again, referencing the RFP. They will make recommendations to the talent board, and you can anticipate potentially recommendations and notifications in October. The important thing to note with the process here is that if there are questions that the review committee has in relation to your proposal, just be prepared to potentially answer those between the point that you submit and the date that the board meeting happens. If we need to clarify any important details as far as budget, enrollment, things like that, we will ask those questions more formally at that time and then get the review committee members' responses. That sometimes happens. We do have some additional resources I mentioned again that we will be sending out the slides here and the recording. So you'll be able to click into these. I'll include a link to the Salesforce site where you'll be able to enter, select forgot password, or email me and request to be added to the platform. I'd be happy to do so. One other thing that I'd like to mention is, as always, Talent Ready is very receptive to requests for review proposals ahead of the deadline. We would ask for those to be emailed to us at least 7 days in advance of the deadline. So scheduling with us, you'll find that within my email signature link that you can schedule time to meet with me. There should be a option for pre-review proposal submission, something similar to that. Just select that, schedule a time with me at least 7 days in advance of the proposal deadline. Include an email with your draft of the proposal, and we'll try to give you feedback that may be what the review committee is going to be looking at, what we understand are board priorities, things like that, that may be helpful for a second glance at your proposal. So with that, I've included our email here, truegrants@uc.edu. We'd welcome any questions at that site, and otherwise I'll look forward to getting each of you a copy of the recording as well as some resources. So thank you for being in attendance today. Take care.